Hey guys, I've got another pin video here for you. And for this pin video, I've got yet another Moonman fountain pen. And this pin, you'll notice I've got the packaging here, and it's definitely a more economical or downgraded version of compared to some of the other Moonman pins, such as the M1 that I did a review on previously, and the M100 that I did a review on my last video. So this is just basically a regular cardboard package, nothing super special. It slides right out and it reveals that pin. So this is the Moonman S1, and if I'm not mistaken, on the back of the packaging, grab the box, it actually tells you what type of pin that is. So you do, unlike the other packaging for the M100, at least my pin, that did not have any barcode or anything to tell you what type of pin it was, this one does. You'll notice you have your S1 here, and then you have an F in parentheses because this is a fine nib. Now onto the pin. So this is, I think, a very attractive pen. It's another resin or acrylic type material. I only paid $16.50 for the pen. It did take quite a bit of time to get here. I would say about almost 3 to 4 weeks, about 3.5 weeks to come from China. So it did take a while. Now, the auction that I purchased my pen from, it was available in a fine or an extra fine nib. So I thought that was at least kind of nicer. Obviously, I would love to have it in a medium nib, but at the end of the day, it's nice that they have those two different offerings. As I said before, I ordered a fine nib. Now, this is the blue color, as you can tell on the resin. It does come in a red color, which is kind of a koi pattern. It's red with kind of white chips. It comes in a pink, cracked ice look, and then also a turquoise color. The turquoise pattern is somewhat similar to this pattern here. I'm a big fan of blue pens. If most of you have been watching my videos for a while, you probably notice a lot of my pens are blue or have hints of blue in them. So this pen definitely stood out to me. Now, like a lot of the other Moonmans, this is a very classic design. You've got your classic cigar-shaped pen, very reminiscent or homage pen to Schaefer Balance, and this pen is no exception. You've got your coned ends on both the cap and the barrel, of course. You've got a nice clip here, very functional. Very springy, works very well. You'll notice that it has it is definitely recessed into the cap, but it has that small metal piece to allow it to be springy. Somewhat similar to a Conklin clip that a lot of people would be familiar with, just as far as its form and function overall. You've got a nice, decent cap band. See if I can get this to focus. That actually says Moonman on it. Nice gold cap band. I like the fact that they put it at the end of the cap, kind of show off a little bit more of that material. You'll see it definitely has some chatoyancy as well as some depth to the material, which I really liked. I like the kind of cracked look on a lot of these type of pens. Barrel obviously tapers down and then cones out at the end. Now, in order to take this cap off, it takes about 2 full turns to get the cap off. So about the same as the M100. I think the M100 is 1 3/4 turns. And then it reveals that section and nib. Now you'll notice there's a slight step down from the barrel to these threads. The threads, though, they're machined very nicely. You don't really notice them that much. You can feel the step down just the slightest if you hold it here, but for the most part I don't notice it when I'm writing. Now you'll notice that the section does taper down in the middle and then flares back out, and it does have a lip on that section as well. Section size, it's not an extremely large section, but I think it does the job. A lot of these sections, I'm used to these type of sections with a lot of pens, so it doesn't really bother me at all. Now, as far as the writing experience and holding it in the hand, for me, it works well. I don't need to post this pen. I will put dimensions of the pen on the screen for the video. Now, if you are someone that likes to post your pens, this pen does post well, and it posts somewhat deeply. Because it posts deeply, I think it makes for the pen, at least for me, very well balanced. It doesn't feel back heavy at all to me. Whereas the M100 doesn't post very deeply and kind of feels a little bit unbalanced when I post it. At least that's my perception. Now, the nib. The nib is very, very similar to other Moonman pens. You've got a number 5 size nib in here. You'll see that it's got the Moonman super quality on there, and you'll see in very small print F for fine. And then of course it has the Moonman logo and then some of that scroll work. The feed is just a standard plastic feed with that number 2 on it. Now this feed definitely kind of is reminiscent of some Chinese feeds that I have, and I could be totally wrong or off on that. And if I am, someone is more than welcome to correct me in the comments down below. But here is a Moonman M1, and you'll notice that that feed is totally different, which I know is supposed to be a German feed based off of the research I've done on this pen. Whereas this feed, definitely it looks more like a Chinese feed, similar to what I've seen in several of my Jinhao pens, for instance. To give you an example, here is my Jinhao that I have that Ultra Flex in, and while this is a number 6 size feed as far as the nib goes, very similar in the overall design, shape, and size. Maybe not so much size, but the overall, you guys get the gist of it. Now, with that being said, the pen performs well. The feed does a good job. It writes well, and I don't have any complaints about this pen at all. Not a super huge fan of the extra fine and fine nibs, not my preferred type nibs, but bear in mind, you can change this nib out. There are plenty of number 5 size nibs that you can use. Heck, Goulet now sells number 5 nibs, so you can always buy one from them. Now, unscrewing the barrel, you'll notice that this one does not have the metal collar on it, so this is a pen that, hypothetically speaking, you could potentially eyedropper. And you know, if you're one that wants to do that, you could probably put some silicone grease on here and probably get away with eyedropping this pen. There's not a ton of threads here. You could probably fit an O-ring right here and make that work, but all in all, I think this is a pen that you could definitely eyedrop. Now you'll see that you've got your converter here, just a regular twist converter, and if I remember correctly, this one does not have a spring. I couldn't remember, I get confused. There is no distinguishing markings on this converter to tell what type it is, but at the end of the day, it's just a converter. It does the job and it comes with the pen. I did not get a cartridge with this pen, just the converter. So I wanted to kind of show the pen size compared to some other fountain pens. So obviously I figured we'd go with my 2 other Moonman models I have here, and then my Live in You fountain pen too, just to give a little bit of a sizing comparison. And when you look at the pen, the M100 is definitely a little bit longer than these 4 pens, but this pen right here is very similar in size and in girth to the Live in You fountain pen. And is very similar in size, overall length, to the M1, whereas the M1 is a little bit more girthier than the S1 here. Now here they are all uncapped, and we can kind of see the business ends of these pens as well as the sections, and then just the length of them being uncapped. So you can definitely tell that the M1 and the S1 are very similar in overall size or overall length, whereas the Live in You and the M100 are somewhat longer in overall length. Now comparing the sections, Obviously, the Live in You has a much longer section, but very skinny or narrow. The M100 is going to be a little bit fatter than the S1, and then the S1 has about the skinniest section, or I'm sorry, the lengthwise is one of the smaller sections, and then your M1 here definitely has the fattest section out of these 4 pins. Now, I will definitely say Schaefer was obviously onto something when they created this design, because all 3 of these pins overall fit very nice in the hand. I really enjoy this pin right here. Feels really great in the hand, whether it's posted or unposted, but this one feels very nice as well, and it is one of the few pins that I have, if I write with it posted, really is an enjoyable writing experience, and I'm not someone that posts pins very often. Now here we see all 4 pins posted, and I'm still say that the M100, it really is not a pin to me that's really meant to be posted per se. It does not post very deeply. Starting from the bottom though, we have the Live in You, posts very nicely, posts somewhat deeply on the pin, but you can tell that the shortest of these 4 is the S1, and that is because that cap definitely posts deeply. I like that about it. Yes, it doesn't make the pen very elongated, so if you have very large hands, you may not like that part. I like the fact that it makes the pen, to me, more well balanced and a nice writing experience overall. So this kind of gives you an idea of overall length posted compared to these other 3 pens. Alright guys, so it's dark here. It is daylight outside, but I've got my blinds shut, and I just want to show off again this material. Kind of show you guys some of the transparent properties of it. And again, it's something I enjoy doing. I don't know if you guys really like this, but you can kind of see it shining on my hand, and it's just amazing. It's beautiful how this material shines through that light. This as a pen, I mean, for 16 bucks, $17, it's a beautiful pen. And you can see that material. I mean, it just looks like it has veins almost. I mean, it is just beautiful. This is the barrel right now that I'm showing you guys. And again, this is a pen because you don't have any metal in here that you can eyedropper this pen. I think that's another really cool thing about it. Alright guys, so up next I am going to do a writing sample for this pen, and then I will kind of finish up the review from there and tell you guys what I like about the pen and some things that maybe I don't like about the pen. So I'll see you guys in just a moment. Alright guys, we are back, and the ink that I chose to use for this pen, just want to show that, is Waterman, and it is Inspired Blue. I thought the color of this ink would do, the kind of match or do the pen justice. And it does look nice in this pen, I have to say. So, as I stated before, this is the Moonman S1. And this is the blue ice or cracked ice color. And I paid $16.50 for this. Obviously free shipping. And it has a fine nib. And this nib writes well. I will definitely say this nib writes really well. I don't have any complaints about the overall. Just how smooth the nib is. It's very smooth. It writes well. Kind of gives you some of that pencil-y feedback. So, like I said, it's smooth. You're not going to get any line variation with this nib. I mean, it's Not necessarily, well, it's a nail. You're not really getting any line variation, but it's a nice writing experience. You know, this is definitely a pen that you could use for school or at work for cheaper paper or cheaper quality paper. I use my Wing Sung 601 every day at work. That's one of my daily carry pens. This is a pen that I think could kind of fit into that mold. So, what do I like? What do I like about this pen? I love the color. I think the overall build quality of this pen is nice. So one of the biggest complaints I know for a lot of you on the M100 and for me as well is the cross-threading issue. With this pen, there's no issues, and I think that's a big thing. You know, I don't know. This pen definitely has less threads overall. I don't know if, you know, there's a difference in the machining or the fact that it has this metal cap band. You know, I don't know that answer, but I will say for 16 bucks, this pen overall performs well. The nib out of the box performed much better than the Schmidt nib that we had in the M100. And the reason why I bring those things up is I don't really have a lot of complaints about this pen at all. There's really nothing that I can pinpoint that I don't like about it. Material's gorgeous. The nib writes well. The pen feels nice in the hand. It posts well. And you can easily change out that nib if you don't like it, obviously. So whereas the M100 is a beautiful, beautiful material, it has its downsides to it, and you pay more for it. It's literally double the cost of this pen right here. So in my opinion, this pen overall I think is a better buy, and because of that, I really, really like this pen. And I may be getting another one. I like the red color. The turquoise one is attractive. Even the pink one. The pink one is very attractive. So guys, this one definitely gets a thumbs up for me. If you have been thinking about getting one of these pens, grab one. It's definitely worth it, especially for the price. If you already have one, comment down below. Tell us what you think about it. If you like the pen, what you don't like about it, and let everybody know. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I will gladly see you later. Everyone take care, and bye-bye.